Welcome back to another episode of Inside This Teacher's Studio, hosted by Toni Morgan. In this installment, Toni interviews longtime music teacher Victor Anderson.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Inside This Teacher's Studio. Today we're interviewing Victor Anderson, and he has an education background from a number of Illinois institutions, including Illinois Wesleyan University, the University of Illinois, and Aurora University. He's spent 27 years teaching music, and Victor started in Western Illinois at Aledo High School, and then went to Galesburg for 2 years, Jacobs High School in Algonquin, but the bulk of Victor's teaching has just completed with 21 years in Yorkville, Illinois. He will begin at West Aurora High School soon, and Victor, thank you for joining us today. I want to talk a little bit about your accomplishments as a teacher. You have been nominated for the Golden Apple Award. He was the quarter finalist for the Music Educator Grammy Award, and also the Chicago Outstanding Music Educator for Quinlan and Fabish, the music company. He was the School Orchestra Magazine Illinois representative for 50 Directors Who Make a Difference. And the Yorkville Education Association voted him the Teacher of the Year and gave him that award, and he was the award winner of the Teacher of the Year from the Yorkville High School faculty. He stays very active in the community that he lives in and teaches in, and is a trombonist and artistic director of the Yorkville Big Band, conductor of the Fox Valley Brass Band, Yorkville Community Band, and a trombonist in the Vern Spivak
Correct.
Big Band. So Victor, we're going to start right here with asking you, who are the ones in your family who gave you confidence?
Yeah, thank you, Toni. I would say that obviously my parents were very critical in my younger years and growing up, and supported me by really nurturing the passion for music. And they still come to my concerts even to this day. All the time. And then the music educators in my life were very influential. I can name every single music teacher I ever had, and growing up in the Batavia school system.
Oh, nice.
And so it was super, super influential. I would say as an adult, my wife has been extremely supportive to the point where when we started our family, that she really gave up her career and has been a stay-at-home mom. And what I think we realized at that time that we were going to be living on one paycheck, which is hard.
Yeah.
But what I didn't realize was that meant that I was going to be able to be better at my job because she was taking care of the home. And so it's been a really, really supportive relationship, and I'm really grateful for my wife Allison and her support.
Nice. The next question is, how would you describe your growing up years?
Sure. So I was, as a kid, I was extremely outgoing and active in mostly musical things, but also active in the church. I studied from a young age. I studied piano lessons. And then when I began playing the trombone, my parents enrolled me in private trombone lessons, and I also went to some summer camps like Illinois Summer Youth Music at University of Illinois. I was a really good kid who got good grades, and strangely enough, from about sophomore year, 10th grade on, I was hyper-focused that I knew that I wanted to be a music teacher. So that's pretty rare, I think, for kids to know
so early.
And so I was I even at that point, dropped some honors courses in order to focus on practicing and becoming a better musician, and again got support from my parents because I was pretty hyper-focused on wanting to do that. So
Nice.
Yeah.
What in your past would have predicted that you would become a teacher?
So I think that both my parents were public servants. My father was a police officer his entire life, and ended his career as chief of police in Batavia, actually.
Oh, okay.
And my mother was in early childhood development, and at one point owned 2 daycare centers. So those are definite signs that was kind of my, kind of a passion rather than a financial journey.
Right.
And so I worked for my mom at the daycare, like janitorial work on weekends. In the summers, I was a teacher's aide there. And then when I was a junior and senior in high school, I started teaching some private lessons to like beginner trombone players, and it just felt natural, and I felt like I was good at it, and I think that's what like really solidified that teaching a career path was the right one for me.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in pre-K myself with my sister.
Yeah.
Before I became a teacher. Who were some of the mentors who influenced your teaching style?
So definitely my high school music teachers, my choir director Wes Betcher, and my high school band director John Heath, who I'm still very good friends with to this day. In fact, we just hired him to help with the West Aurora Marching Band Camp
Nice.
last week, and I was able to sort of say return the favor to my mentor by nominating him into the Hall of Honor at West Aurora High School because he's a West Aurora graduate. So anyway, we have a very close relationship. But those teachers really influenced me and I have been great mentors my whole life. And then I would say the biggest mentor that I have as far as being a band director and a teacher was probably my fine arts supervisor at Galesburg High School, and his name is Dean Petrie, and he's since retired, but he just, I mean, it was like my second like student teaching, working with him when I got to Galesburg High School, and I just kind of learned like from a seasoned veteran teacher how everything works. I also feel like it's super important for young teachers to have not only those personal mentors, but then when you are in your job, like for example, when I got to Yorkville, that was my home, and I knew that was going to be the bulk of my career. I really had no intention on leaving Yorkville, but this wonderful opportunity this past year came up. But when I started at Yorkville, the program was very young and not developed, and so at that point I found mentor programs and teachers in the area that I could look at and model, or they modeled for me, and I could aspire to be like those. And when I started at Yorkville, it was one program and one mentor teacher, and when I finished at Yorkville, it was another set of mentor programs that I looked at.
Yeah, and can we talk a little bit about, I don't know if we mentioned, I don't think I mentioned this part, that you supervised, when you left Yorkville, 6 curricular ensembles that served like 200 students, and then you also did 2 general music classes.
Well, yeah, so we developed the program. I was a fine arts, or I'm sorry, I was a district music coordinator, and when I started there, I mean, Yorkville has just grown leaps and bounds. Yeah. So anyone could have grown this program, but I'm particularly proud of that we grew from seeing 200 students daily back in 2003 when I started at Yorkville to when I finished, we were seeing 600 students daily in 13 ensembles and 2 general music classes and an AP music theory and tons of extracurriculars as well. So, and again, that's from just having a global awareness of what does music education around us look like, and what programs are out there killing it, and how do we get there
and take advantage of that local possibility.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
What factors make your work successful?
Well, unfortunately, working really hard, working really long hours.
Yeah.
I do believe in like that home work balance, but like I said earlier, I'm very fortunate that my wife, my partner Allison, really takes control of the home, and so it's something I don't have to worry about quite as much as other people when people are balancing 2 jobs and all of the kids' activities and things. So I work very long hours. I also aim very high and try and get the job done right, not just get it done.
What are the parts that make that job come out right?
So I think part of it is just being a perfectionist, right? Like, so like you're not doing the bare minimum, like to check off the boxes, but like we're going to do this and we're going to do it to the best of our potential. And you know, my closest colleagues and I over the years have had those conversations when we are actually like following through on a commitment, or potentially even doing something that we don't feel is necessarily important, but we know that it's the right thing to do. So in other words, we're going to do this because we know it's the right thing to do for our school community, and it's the right thing to do for students, to show them what school service looks like and community service, and how, again, globally, how our music department or the band fits into the larger community as a whole.
Yeah. What about delegation and use of time and different things? Does that play a role in such a massive program?
It does. You know, a long time ago, I had a mentor tell me that you really should try not to do any part of the job that doesn't require a music education degree. And that was good advice, although not always practical. But if it doesn't take a music education degree to set up chairs and stands for the band that's coming in next period.
Right.
And so is there a way to delegate to student leaders to do that? And so that is a big, huge part of the time management of the profession. And then same thing with, like, you know, band programs and music programs are synonymous with having boosters. And so those parents are, I mean, they're just waiting in the wings, being, you know, ready to be asked to help and told what to do. And
they want to do it, and they are happy to do it.
Exactly. So that delegation is a huge part of the job as well. Yeah.
Okay. Is there one disaster you wish you could go back and change?
Oh my gosh.
Is there only one disaster you wish you could go back and change?
So I would say, honestly, my first job, like the whole first 2 years, like and a lot of people would probably say that in their career, like that's like you're learning and you're experimenting, and so it's not that I did a bad job in Alito, but I don't think I was as aware and cognizant of respecting student and family's time outside of my activity.
Okay.
I think that in my defense, I was very alone there. A lot of times in those rural communities, like it's like you don't have a team of in your music program because they're small. But I can remember one story in particular. We were going to concert band contest, and I thought I was communicated very clearly and was very organized, and we had all the buses packed, and some equipment was going with parents in their cars, and so we got to our contest site, which was about half an hour away from our community, and come to find out that the mom that had the music, we collected all the kids' folders. She went to another school, which was a half hour in the other direction.
Oh.
And so luckily the contest site was very accommodating and allowed us to, they just skipped us in our performance order and then came back to us at the end of the day, and the music was there and everything, but like
Hooray.
classic like first, second year teaching story,
It is. Let's see. What memory is a powerful one for you of a student in crisis?
Well, unfortunately, it's part of being a teacher. I've had many students in crisis over the years, whether it's been from parent illness or death to student colleagues that have passed away, student unplanned pregnancies. But I think that the crisis that I'm probably most aware of and most happy to be able to help in is just the anxiety that students feel when they are trying to balance different parts of their lives, right? So students who, for example, who are highly athletic but also want to be a musician, and how can we accommodate that and also put them at ease, their anxiety and stress, because that's it's horrible when a student is feeling that anxiety and stress. as adults, we cope with that in different ways, but kids are still learning how to cope with that. And so I think that I'm really proud to be able to work with students in that situation and like show them that I actually care about more than just what's happening in my classroom.
And what advice do you give them?
I mean, usually it's just honestly just compromising and saying, like, okay, so you have this conflict between softball and band. Let's talk through it together and talk about the different options. And then oftentimes, it pays dividends to just say like, well, why don't you go do the softball thing and we'll work it out with music on the other end. So, and I've had numerous times in my career, students thank me, sometimes months later, sometimes years later, for being able to understand their situation and be supportive of not their other activity, but of them as a kid and as a child. So
nice, very nice. Why do you trust young people? And I'm assuming that you do.
Oh, of course. I don't think you could last in this profession if you didn't have trust in young people and in the system of education, period. I think I trust my students because I get to see them at their best. In music, we dress them up as adults in tuxedos and dresses. We ask them to perform and represent and on behalf of not only myself, but the school and the community, and sometimes the state of Illinois if we're traveling outside. And I get to see them act and behave like adults when we ask them to. So I probably trust students to a fault, but 95% of the time I would say that they are successful at that.
Okay. What is a moment that you learned something about teaching that you wish you had known sooner?
I think it goes back to what I was talking about as far as having a mentor. I wish that in those first 2 years of teaching that I had a stronger mentor relationship with somebody close by in another community, or even kept in better touch with my undergraduate professors to use them as mentors. But I was so young, I thought I was going to be able to change the world. So I really can't hammer that home enough, that I think having a mentor or something to aspire to be and then having a roadmap of how you're going to get there is probably the most important.
And taking that abundant help that's
exactly.
out there.
Yeah.
Let's see. What are some thoughts or main themes that guide your teaching?
Honesty is probably the number one thing that comes to mind, because students can tell when an adult is not being honest with them. Passion, having a passion for what we're learning, a passion for teaching, for creating those aha moments. And then I think planning is also, and sometimes you have the best laid out plans and it doesn't work. And that's really frustrating when you spend that much time planning. But you without a plan, you're doomed. And I think there's short-term and long-term planning, but super important.
Okay. What matters in a daily schedule?
Consistency is a very important thing, and I've taught on all kinds of schedules in different high schools: block schedule, traditional schedule, modified block schedules. Regardless of the schedule, consistency is really important, and I think we're finding that out over and over and over again with technology development. And how are we going to consistently address the cell phone usage policy in our classrooms, for example? But I think having consistency, clear expectations, faith and belief in the kids and in the job that we've chosen to do. I think that always having the larger goal in mind. Music for me is just the tool to teach time management, organizational skills, problem-solving skills, collaboration, communication, management of emotions, and perseverance, and then hard work and delayed gratification, which is like a term that most teenagers don't understand. But music is just our tool for doing that. And we hopefully through music we're enhancing their memory and attention and providing an outlet for expression as well. Yeah. And so, we're just trying to form independent thinkers and create amazing, well-balanced, high-functioning adults who appreciate the arts and contribute to the society as a whole.
But I think you did a really good job of showing the many, many things that come from music.
For sure. But
things.
Good teachers can do that through whatever their subject area.
That's true. That's true, but I think we need to hear it about music more often.
For sure.
Which of the academic areas do you think that you promote the most?
Well, I definitely promote all the areas of the arts. I think that arts education is critical and crucial to a well-balanced and whole child. Mm-hmm. But of course, music is my passion. Mm-hmm. I believe that students should be singing as soon as possible and as often as possible, not just in the music classroom. I mean, we know from other great teachers like Al Gonerman at Yorkville High School that he would teach math formulas using the songs from Oklahoma, yeah. And most of us can sing the 50 States song from our elementary schools, even as adults, And I think also that the research that has been done most recently on Alzheimer's and dementia patients just shows that music sticks with us in our brain longer than anything else in the brain. And so, I think vocalizing and singing is the most important. I also firmly believe that every child deserves the opportunity to learn to play an instrument. And it may or may not stick with students, but that higher executive functioning that it takes to play an instrument and interpret graphical notation on a page and then put it in your fingers is really like no other skill that we teach in school.
Yeah, that is great. And you won't hear anybody agree with you more about singing than I do.
That's awesome.
That's a big part of my day. We're going to end with a little survey from Bernard Pivot. Mm-hmm. And this is the first question. What is a song that you like?
Okay, so this is so funny because music teachers get this question all the time. What is your favorite song? Mm-hmm. And it always changes. I mean, my favorite song is the one that's in front of me, honestly.
Okay.
Whatever we're teaching, because that is the moment in time that we're trying to captivate student learning. And so my favorite song is always the one that we're working on currently.
I like it. What is a song you dislike?
That is not as hard of a question to answer. It may come as a surprise, but Heart and Soul is one that I dislike.
Oh, it's not a surprise at all to me. Anybody who's been around a piano for a while.
Exactly. And anyone who's been in a music classroom for any amount of time will be able to tell you that song just pops up and when you least expect it or least want it. So.
And when I worked at an international school in Vermont, I realized they teach it all over the world,
Yeah,
everywhere,
that's right.
Japan, South America, it doesn't matter. What do you love to hear as a teacher?
I love to hear the words "thank you," and it's amazing to me how rarely we hear that from students and parents, and not just "thank you" to me, but I like hearing when the music boosters feed 150 kids, I tell the kids that they should hear 150 thank yous. And I think that is something that doesn't seem as important in society as it once was.
Yeah. What do you hate to hear as a teacher?
I hate to hear students treating each other poorly and comparing themselves to each other. Mm-hmm. I don't think that competition has a place really in the classroom and in the academic classroom.
Okay. Do you use curse words?
Not in class or on purpose. I really have never understood teachers or coaches or any child mentors that use them so frequently and freely because it's not a very mentoring thing to do.
Yeah. Besides teaching, what other profession would you like to have pursued?
I thought about becoming a lawyer for a long time, and I think I could have done that pretty well. More recently, I have really gotten into digital creation, whether that's publishing or graphic design. So that's also something that I like to do in my free time, and something that I could probably do as a profession as well.
Okay. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say upon your arrival?
So I would like to hear that my music has touched the hearts, souls, and minds of many, and welcome to your encore.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Victor, thank you so much for this interview today, and thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge and experience and heartfelt insights
Thank
into
you.
teaching. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.